TikTok in court today.
Save TikTok!
Getting its first chance to fight back against a law passed in April that could essentially ban the app in a matter of months. The government's concern that its Chinese-owned parent company could secretly influence Americans by manipulating what content is seen and exploiting user data.
The problem is that that same data is extremely valuable to a foreign adversary trying to compromise the security of the United States.
In heavily redacted court documents, the Justice Department and a senior U.S. intelligence official say they don't have direct evidence that China has used TikTok for propaganda in the U.S., but they say there is significant risk that could happen. TikTok arguing that's not enough.
They don't claim anything has happened yet. They claim there's future Chinese control, and therefore we can burden in a very significant way the speech of a U.S. entity and its users.
The judge is appearing sympathetic to claims from TikTok and a group of content creators that the law violates the First Amendment, but they pushed lawyers on why those protections should apply to a foreign-owned company. Right now, the app, used by 170 million Americans, is on the clock. If TikTok loses in court, it would have to sell to an American company by January, or it would face that effective ban.
Now, the judges are expected to rule by December, and the losing side of this case is likely to request the U.S. Supreme Court to step in, meaning any potential ban could still be years away. Lester?
Okay, Savannah, thank you. Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.